Well, welcome back. Here we are, ready to begin a new unit. And I must say it's a happier topic than last unit. Last unit we were talking about crime and robbery and theft and all of those things. And so I think you'll be happy to see that our new topic is business and money. Well, that sounds very, very attractive, doesn't it? Okay, let's see what we're doing in this unit. Conversation. We're going to hear about borrowing money. Many of us get into this, especially when we're younger. One of the problems of being young is that you need money. All right, so borrowing money. We're going to hear a lecture about a very interesting topic, entrepreneurs. You're going to hear it today, so you can listen to it and get used to it for the next time. So that will be when we finish the first part. And then we'll finish the unit next time with banking services and balancing a checkbook. All things that have to do with money. At the bottom of the page we have a nice quotation, and I think it's something to really note. If you work just for money, you'll never make it. But if you love what you're doing and you always put the customer first, success will be yours. Very good. Very wise statement by Ray Kroc, U.S. businessman, the founder of McDonald's. Some of you may be McDonald's fans. Well, that's what the founder of McDonald's said, and I think it's a basic truth that more important than money is loving what you do. Then the money will come of its own. All right, let's move on with our subject here. The next page, we see two people, an older man and a younger man, and they're in a taxi and shaking hands. I would say they've probably done a deal. And I really think that when I look at their, the suitcase or the valise, it's full of euros. Well, that must have been a good deal. Looks shady to me, though, when you have all that much money in cash. But I won't look into that. This is just about business. Questions. Why are the business people in this photo happy? Well, I think they're happy because they feel they made a good deal. I hope they both made a good deal, but certainly one of them should be happy. Somebody's ending up with a lot of money. Number two, what would you do with the money? Well, my gosh, that depends so much on you. If you're good-hearted, you will give it to people who need it and give it to your family. If you're not so good-hearted, maybe you'll waste it on silly things. I don't know. It's up to you. We all think about what we would do. Number three, imagine you were to start a business with this money. What kind of business would you start? Well, that depends, again, on you. I'm sure you all have different situations. For me, of course, I would think of something to do with language or books. Yes, we still have books. All right, let's move on with our subject here. We have two important individuals here in our conversation. We see this young man, Jeff. Believe it or not, he's smiling, but he has a problem. We just heard he wants to borrow money. And this other gentleman here, much older, is his father. Looks very prosperous, but what are the chances of getting money from this man? Well, let's do the conversation and see. Look at the photos. Well, I'm going to go back to your photos. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have moved so quickly. Do you think his father will give it to him? Why or why not? Most of my students don't think this man looks very likely to give money. He doesn't look that way. Is it easy or difficult to manage money? That depends on you. What do you do when you need more money? Well, I work harder, but I don't know. It depends on your situation. Do you know anyone who works and goes to school at the same time? Well, I think maybe many of you are in that situation, and I give you credit for that. It's not easy, but it will pay off in the end. When I say pay off, I don't mean necessarily money only, but also in terms of your satisfaction. Now, we do have some vocabulary in this conversation, so we should look at that first. Our first vocabulary item is not a word, it's a long phrase, an arm and a leg. And we use this usually with money. Yeah, He paid an arm and a leg, or it costs an arm and a leg. We have our sentence, it's hard to live alone in the United States because everything costs an arm and a leg. Of course, that's an idiom, and we chose a lot of money. But notice we don't say, I have an arm and a leg. We say, oh my, that costs. That paid. Huh? It's usually when you're either receiving or getting money that you talk about an arm and a leg, okay? Don't say, please give me an arm and a leg, okay? It's an idiom. D is also an idiom, make ends meet, huh? Make ends meet. Well, this doesn't mean ends meet in this sense. It means in terms of income and outgoing money. So, Serena can't make ends meet because she doesn't earn enough money, meaning she's spending more than she's bringing in. Meet means that you earn enough to cover what you spend. And so we chose D, to pay all one's bills. Okay, that's the same thing, having enough money for your expenses. C is not a phrase, but again it's an idiom. Broke. We were broke. Now, it does sort of connect to the verb break, but it doesn't mean broken like this. It means you don't have money. We didn't go away on vacation last summer because we were broke. This is a bit colloquial. You wouldn't use this in formal writing, but very common. And so we chose C, without any money. If you're broke, then it's a hard life. Number 4, budget. This is not an idiom. This is a good vocabulary item, standard vocabulary item, a budget. A budget is something we reckon up. How much are we going to pay for this? How much for that? How much are we getting in? Governments have budgets. Companies have budgets. Maybe it's good for us to have budgets. I can't buy everything I want because I am living on a budget. And so from that context, we chose B, a plan for how to spend one's money each month. How many of you have a budget? It takes self-control. 5, income. Well, we used this word already. I think you know it. Again, a standard noun. With his 2 jobs, Tom has an income of $3,200 a month. And so we chose here F, all the money you receive for work or any other reason. That's income, the money coming in. So it's rather self-explanatory. Number 6, you don't earn much money as a server at a fast food restaurant. Well, that's true. Earn, okay, what is it? To receive money for work. Now, in this course, you will also earn, not money, but you will earn a grade. How do you earn it? By preparing well and by doing your lesson, knowing what you have to know. So we also say you earn a grade. You know, students sometimes ask me to say, well, why did you give me? I say, I don't give you the grade. You earned it. I just note it, huh? Okay? Yes, okay. So really, matter of earning, okay? I like to give you my attention, give you my information, give you my every effort, but really the grade, you earn the grade, huh? That's what you get, okay? Now we're going to hear the conversation, but before doing that, these are some questions you should be able to answer from listening. What is Jeff's problem? What solutions does his father suggest? Why can't Jeff work more hours? How does Jeff feel at the end of the conversation? So just keep that in mind. I'm going to put that aside because I want you to listen totally, huh? Totally I want your ears to be working, okay? Here's the conversation. Dad. Hello? Hi, Dad. Jeff, how are you? I'm fine, Dad. How's Mom? Did she get over her cold? Dad? Yes, she's fine now. She went back to work yesterday. Jeff, that's good. Dad, I need to ask you something. Dad, sure, son. What is it? Jeff, well, the truth is I'm broke again. Could you lend me $200 just till the end of the month? Dad, broke again? Jeff, when you moved in with Andrew, you said you could make ends meet, but this is the 3rd time you've asked me for help. Jeff, okay, you're right. But what do you think I ought to do? Everything costs an arm and a leg around here. Dad, well, first of all, I think you'd better go on a budget. Make a list of all your income and all your expenses. And then it's simple. Don't spend more than you earn. Jeff, but that's exactly the problem. My expenses are always larger than my income. That's why I need to borrow from you. Dad, then maybe you should work more hours at the computer store. Jeff, Dad, I already work 15 hours a week. Dad, come on, Jeff. When I was your age, Jeff, I know, when you were my age, you were already married and working and going to school. Dad, that's right. If I could do it, why can't you? Jeff, because I'm not you, Dad. That's why. Dad, all right, Jeff, calm down. I don't expect you to be like me, but I can't lend you any more money. Your mother and I are on a budget too, you know. Jeff, maybe I should just drop out of school, work full time. I can go back to school later. Dad, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Jeff, yeah, but you're not me, remember? It's my life. Dad, all right, Jeff, let's not argue. Why don't you think about this very carefully and call me back in a few days? Yes, Dad. All right, goodbye, son. Bye. Does that sound familiar? Well, when you have children, it'll all sound familiar. Okay, what is Jeff's problem? He's broke. He needs money. That's why he's calling his father. What solutions? Do you remember the solutions his father suggests? There are two solutions he suggests. First of all, make a budget, one of our vocabulary. And the second, work more hours. Okay, those were the two suggestions. Okay, of course, Jeff doesn't agree with either of them, but those are the suggestions of the father. Why can't Jeff work more hours? Well, he's a student. He's studying at the same time. So, 15 hours a week, if you're a student, that's really a lot. That's like 2 days of the week he's working. How does Jeff feel at the end of the conversation? Well, he's obviously not happy. Maybe he's hoping his father will change his mind, but I'm sure he's disappointed. Frustrated is probably too much, but he is disappointed. He didn't get what he wanted. Now, as you know, these exercises are also cloze exercises. And so let's have a look at them right now and see what you should have filled in. I hope you can always do this while I'm doing the conversation and then check it later here. Notice fine. Most of these, broke, one of our vocabulary words, lend, make. Third, please note, now I'm not asking you to write out these words, but please notice that usually in English we would not use the number here, we'd use the word, so get used to that. Exactly, always, computer, already, why can't you, I'm not you, and so on. Okay. Now, the next page, one word I'd like to talk to you about. Please be careful of this word you see at the top here, expect. Expect, not accept, E-X-P-E-C-T, don't confuse expect, looking forward, to accept, when you take something. That's A-C-C, this is E-X. I hope you hear the difference, accept and accept. Very similar, but they are different. All right, I hope you were able to do those well. I don't think there are any great difficulties. There's a language tip I'd like to discuss with you at the bottom, the words borrow and lend. Borrow is taking. Lending is giving for a time. If you need money, you might have the bank lend you some money. You borrow money from the bank. It's called a loan. L-O-A-N, from the verb lend. A loan. Now, again, we have our reductions. You remember reductions? In fact, one of your discussion questions was about reductions. Reductions, in ordinary speech, many times words are not realized fully, and here you see some of the standard reductions. For example, number one, I need to ask you. To ask you, not I need to ask you. I need to ask you. To ask is to ask. It's the infinitive, huh? This is the third time you've asked me. Now, this is a very difficult verb, ask, because it ends with k, and then we have t. So it's very difficult to say asked. So usually people in speaking really don't pronounce the k at all. They say, I asked him. I asked him. You don't hear, not I asked. It's very difficult. Try pronouncing it. So this is a reduced form, very common in spoken speech. What do you think? What do you instead of what do you? I ought to. Oughta instead of ought to. Huh? If I could do it, why can't you? Why can't you? Why can't you instead of why can't you? Huh? The t and the y. Now, really, you see, the sound ch is really a t and a y together. Ch. Huh? So really, when these come in contact, it becomes, oh, can't you? The same thing in the next one. Why don't you? Why don't you? Huh? Why don't you means why don't you? Huh? Well, this very carefully. So in our exercises below, if you heard this, how? Aha! I solved that. I solved that. All right. Hello. Hi. My name is Chang Lee. How can I help you? How can I? But we write can I. I want to check my balance. Want to. Okay. Can I have? Can I? Can I have? Can I have your account number, please? 381335. Your balance is $201. Okay. And I asked my father to wire me some money. And I asked, huh? Not and I asked. Asked, not asked. And my father to wire me. These are all reduced forms. I'd like to know. Remember, when you're tested, you hear the reduced, you have to supply the full form. So if you hear I asked him, you're going to write I asked him. Huh? I want to know, you're going to write I want to know. Huh? Okay. And then, I'm sorry, your account doesn't show any deposits. Oh no, I need to pay my rent tomorrow. What you think? What do you think? What do you think I ought to do? Oughta, huh? Well, we're having some computer problems today, so why don't you call us later? Or you can come back. Huh? I hope you see those reduced forms. Now, using vocabulary, write a question using each of these words. Well, unfortunately, I can't hear you making questions. So I made some questions. This is examples. Borrow. Could I borrow your calculator? Lend. Would you please lend me 10 reals? How much does your father earn? How large is your income each month? Do you have a clear budget? Just examples, so practicing. And if you want to bring up some in the live class, that would be very nice. Now we come, sorry, I moved ahead too quickly, because we come to our pronunciation exercise. Remember we had in the last one, we had a pronunciation. Here, it's about can and can't. I'm sure you know the grammar of this, positive and negative. For example, I can swim, I can't swim. But what you're being told here is notice that what happens is the stress changes. To hear the difference between can and can't, you must listen to the difference in vowel quality and stress. Notice, number one, you can buy a cheap house. You can buy. Stress on buy. Why? Because we have a modal and the base form. The base form has the meaning, so we always stress the base form. Huh? I can go to see him. I would go to see him. I will go to see him. I should go. Huh? Go. I should eat. I can eat. Huh? But notice when we negate it, we have the negative form, then we put stress on both. You can't buy a cheap house. You can buy a cheap house. You can't buy. Huh? So really, this stress and this change in the timbre of the modal, it tells us more than the not in there that it's negative. Now, your job will be to be able to hear whether it's negative or positive. Huh? Notice our compared forms, affirmative and negative. Jeff can work more hours at the computer store. Jeff can't work more hours at the computer store. I can lend you more money. I can't lend you more money. 3. Jeff can go back to school later. Jeff can't go back to school later. Now we're going to have some exercises where you hear sentences, and it would be your job to hear if these sentences are negative or positive from what you hear. Let's review them together. We have 9 of them. Number 1, Sue can pay her bills by herself. You hope your can pay was affirmative. Jeff can't work and study at the same time. Negative. I can't find my wallet. You can pay with a credit card here. You can't open an account without identification. Anna can't work in the United States. 7, I can lend you $5. 8, we can't make ends meet. 9, you can apply for a loan at the bank across the street. Now, it might be a nice exercise for you now to close your eyes later when you listen to this lecture and to hear the difference, so you're not just looking at the difference. Now, we have an exercise here, a class exercise about abilities, and you're asking someone else, 2 of you together, whether they can do these things. I just supplied rather randomly what is a possibility. If we were doing this as a pronunciation, would be he can bake a cake, he can't stand on his head and his or her head, he can do a handstand, can water ski, he can snowboard, he can't sing, he can ice skate, he can't drive a stick shift car,